Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So this is going to be a very short video on metrics, the very first chapter of HSC. So what is metrics, right? So metrics is actually a form of arrangement in which we put down ordered sets. So you have seen certainly that matrix is of this form. So to understand the basics of metrics, we have to understand these things. So these are called elements in matrix, and this is the third bracket that is used to define a matrix. So just like in the classroom there are rows, metrics also have rows, and the way our buildings have columns, matrix is also columns, which are vertical lines. So in a matrix, let's the elements be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after we put this in a bracket, we call this a matrix. So this horizontal line, or the elements in this horizontal line, are called row altogether, and this line is called column. So if we say this matrix be A, we define it with A. We can say anything if you like. So in the matrix A, if we ask about the first column, then we will say that 1 and 4 belongs to the first column of the matrix A. 2 and 5 belongs to the second column, and 3 and 6 belongs to the third column. So it's column number 1, 2, 3. Since we are defining this with 1, 2, and 3 numerals, so I think it would be better if we define this with A, B, C. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, let capital A equal to A, B, C, D, E, and F. So this will be column 1, this column 2, and this column 3. On the other hand, these are the vertical ones, and they are called column, right? Like in a building. Okay, let's draw a house. Okay, so in this house, these are column. Or we can draw a house like this, no problem. So the vertical ones are called column, and the horizontal ones are called rows. So in the row 1, and it is row 2. So in row 1 there is A, B, and C. Let's extend this. Okay. So in row 1 there is A, B, and C, and in row 2 there is D, E, and F. So we don't put comma in between the elements. Okay, they're also called entries. So if a matrix is formed with just one row, then we call it row matrix. So let's take another page and talk about this one. So Okay, let's take this grid line, change the page color a little. Okay, it's the same page though. Okay, so row matrix, right? So the row matrix, let the row matrix be A. So the row matrix is A, B, and C, just single row. As for column matrix, that column matrix is called A. How do we draw this? We draw this A, B, and C, just one single column, and we put the whole entry into one big third bracket. After row matrix and column matrix, there is another matrix, and we call it diagonal matrix. Okay, before that, before diagonal matrix, let us learn about square matrix. And what's a square? So a square is something of a geometrical space which have equal length in its all four vertices of all four lines. So similarly, in a square matrix, we will have elements which are similar in number both in row and in column. So here is the first column and the second column, both have two elements. And also in the first row and second row, both have two elements. So it's a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, 2 by 2. And what do we mean by 2 by 2? So just like we express that the number, let's say 346, there are 3 digits. Okay, so similarly, in case of matrix, we can define how many elements are there, and for that we use a system, and it's often expressed short as RC, but we will get to that later. So let's say here is a matrix ABC and DF, the similar one. So there are, in the row, there are 1, 2, and 3 elements. So 3, and in a column there are 2 elements. So 2. So in case of matrix, we first identify the row, how many rows are there. Okay, so there are 3 rows, and how many column are there? 2. So we put a cross mark in between them, and this is called a 3 by 2 matrix. And why this RC? You might have guessed that by R we mean row, and by C we mean column. So RC means row and column. So whenever we define a matrix, we first read aloud the row number and then the column. So what do you think would mean if we say there is a 3 by 3 matrix? So what does this mean is there are A, B, C, 1, D, E, F, 2, G, H, I. Let us use this one. So there are 3 rows and 3 columns, just like 1, 2, 3 row and 1, 2, 3 column. So if you put this in a third bracket, we'll call this a 3 by 3 matrix. So just like in a square there is a diagonal, or even in a rectangle there is a diagonal, so these 3 are in between a diagonal shape.